Hello and welcome. I'm Ijoma Honyato. Tonight, lawmakers at the Benue State House of Assembly brawl over probe into 750 million naira worth of cars for assembly by Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Condemnations greet the gruesome murder of the paramount ruler of Bokos and 3 others in Plateau State. Senators confident about the economy after a closed-door meeting with CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele. And African leaders back plans to deploy regional troops to South Sudan after recent fighting between rival forces, which left hundreds of people dead.
On business news tonight, International Monetary Fund lowers Nigeria's economic growth for 2016.
And in sports news, Paul Le Guen refuses to accept role as Super Eagles technical advisor over NFF's failure to meet his conditions.
We begin tonight in Makudi, the Benue State capital, where lawmakers at the State House of Assembly exchanged words over investigations into an alleged car fraud scandal worth 750 million naira. Members of the People's Democratic Party in the House called for the removal of all principal officers of the House, a move that was opposed by the APC's majority. Today's face-off is a fallout of an alleged probe by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission into the purchase of cars for members of the House.
Proceedings got underway normally on the floor of the Benue State House of Assembly without any sign of a brewing crisis. Just moments into plenary, things began to get ugly. Mr. Kester Yenge raises a point of order when members were going through the votes and proceedings of the previous sitting and was ruled out of order by the Speaker. The situation pitched members from the opposition party PDP against the ruling party APC. After plenary, the PDP lawmakers at a media briefing accused the Speaker of complicity in the 750 million naira car fraud and wants him and other principal officers removed.
Our reputation has been impugned. We were embarrassed and even locked up. Some members who had no business were locked up by the Economic and Financial Crimes. We're under investigation for no justifiable reason of us. And that in itself erodes the confidence. If the leadership of the House cannot protect us, we are making it abundantly clear to the leadership of the House that they should resign their seats, vacate, step down, and the Speaker should cease to operate as the Speaker of the Benue State House of Assembly.
Reacting to their allegations and call for his resignation, the Speaker says 13 other lawmakers violated the law in the purchase of the cars in question, prompting the EFCC probe.
Mandate was given to me by 20 members of that institution. If they have anything to claim for 1 year, for goodness sake, what have been their claims? Now, what the issue they are talking about is that members have been detained in the EFCC. I wasn't the cause of that. I was not given the contract. In fact, I was not party to the contract. I never had anything to do with the contract. So I was not there when they were negotiating.
As the lawmakers continue to trade blames and the opposition demand a change in leadership at the State Assembly, the leadership insists that the law must take its course and refuses to prevent the anti-corruption agency from doing their job.
Irate youths in Bokos local government area of Plateau State are protesting the murder of their paramount ruler and 3 others. This comes as the Plateau State government has given the community the assurance that investigations are ongoing to apprehend the culprits. In the meantime, security has also been beefed up around the affected community.
Aggrieved youths of Bokos in Bokos local government area of Plateau State, north-central Nigeria, took to the street in the early hours of Tuesday, protesting and blocking the highway between Bokos and Barikan Ladi to show the grief about the killings of the first-class traditional ruler and 3 others in an ambush on Monday evening. Plateau State Police Commissioner Olakunle Oladunjoye seems to have more explanations on the deaths.
The fact is that the man was returning from his village and on motion from the bush, they fire the vehicle, it met the driver, and the vehicle somersaulted, as a result of which people died, including the police inspector. So, we cannot speculate who is responsible. For now, it's only investigation that will prove.
Members of the House of Representatives say such acts of murder are unacceptable and should be investigated, and the culprits should be made to face the full wrath of the law.
This killing is one of too many that has occurred in series in the area since the advent of this administration and in this year 2016. Worried that this wanton killing and unwholesome act of terrorism by mischievous people, which ought to be tackled even with greater intensity than Boko Haram scourge, due to the slow and consistent manner and pattern of operation and elimination of peaceful and law-abiding citizens who have been working hard towards achieving lasting peace in Plateau State and the nation as a whole.
While the youths continue to mourn at the palace of the traditional ruler, friends and relatives of the deceased are hoping that justice will be served in this matter.
The Senate believes measures recently announced by the Central Bank of Nigeria are capable of putting the nation's economy back on track. The Senate's position was presented by the Deputy Chairman of the Senate Committee on Media, Senator Ben Bruce, after a closed-door meeting with the CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele. He, however, said the Senate is not unmindful of the sufferings of Nigerians and will continue to work with the relevant agencies to improve the welfare of citizens.
We're very impressed with his presentation. He explained to us the difficulties we have. You have a press release already, so I don't have to repeat myself. Commodity prices, drop in oil prices, and the various shocks we've had in the system, a decline in growth for 2 quarters in a row, which means officially we're in a recession, and we need to spend our way out of the recession, and hopefully that is what is going to happen. He's optimistic with the floating exchange rate, and a lot of the stuff you've already read in the papers, but we just had a privilege of having him here at the Senate talking to us, and we're optimistic the economy will get better.
Now, to take a look at the state of the economy midway into the year, I'm now being joined in the news at 10 by an economist and the CEO of financial derivatives company, Mr. Bismarck Ruwane. Thank you, Mr. Ruwane, for joining us on the news at 10.
Yeah.
Now, you see the seemingly optimistic view from the CBN, and the senators are happy with him as well. But how would you say we're doing midway? It's July now.
I think, first of all, let's step back and listen to what the IMF said. For the whole of 2016, we are going to see a negative growth of -1.8. That's the only time it has happened in the last 25 years. So the question is that, are we in the midst of a financial crisis, or economic crisis? Yes. And how are we going to get out of it? We put out a paper saying that we are stumbling into reform because we're not doing it out of altruism, we're doing it out of a response to crisis. Now, how is that crisis manifesting itself? 1, 2 quarters of negative growth, you heard Ben Bruce talk about it, and there will be a 3rd quarter of negative growth and a full year of negative growth. It's only in the 4th quarter that you will have some recovery. 1. 2, inflation is at an 11-year high at 16.5%. Yes, the inflation is as a result of supply shocks and scarcity and speculation, but it's also there. At a time, we are now the 8th country with the highest rate of inflation in Africa. So that is something to think about. Not only that, but inflation is set to decline. Why is it going to be declining? Because month-on-month inflation actually came down. Even though year-on-year inflation went up to 16.5, month-on-month inflation actually slowed. It's going to decline because of base year effects. It's going to decline because of consumer resistance to high prices, and it's going to decline because of increased output.
So are we in a recession then? That's what
yes, you are in a recession.
Yeah,
and there's nothing. I mean, a recession is a recession, and that's where we are. The story is, how do you recover from it? So you actually start a recovery process. The recovery, contrary to what Mr. Bruce was saying, the recovery is the responsibility of the fiscal authorities. The fiscal authorities being the Finance Ministry, the Budget Ministry, and the Ministry of Investment, who have put together a stimulus package. The Central Bank of Nigeria is to maintain financial and price stability, currency and price stability. That's the remedy, and the short-term issues. So when we go back to, we have to look at how have we done in terms of inflation and how have we done in terms of the currency. Now, the measures that have been put in place are positive, but policies alone do not solve your problem. Policies are not a silver bullet, I've said it many times. Secondly, policies have to be managed. And thirdly, there has to be integrity in the management. So all of these things have been put together. There have been policy flip-flops as far as this currency management has taken place.
Another one is the CBN saying they're no longer going to intervene. Remember, we saw that. Do you agree that that is the way?
No, I don't think the CBN said that. If the CBN said that, then I'm an astronaut. The reality is that the CBN everywhere in the world intervenes when you have what they call a managed floating exchange rate. When the rate is determined by the market, you intervene to bring it down within what they call the comfort zone. So that's what the central bank does. The central bank cannot say it's not going to intervene. The central bank will intervene, and the frequency and the volume of its intervention is what determines the stability. And that is the responsibility. But the central bank's message has to be credible, has to be clear, and has to be consistent. And that is what, there's been a lot of, movement around without consistency. Now that there's a consistent message, the market, they removed the band, the supposed moral suasion to keep it within a band has been removed. The spread has been kept at 50 kobo, which is okay. And the forward market, right, and the spot market will only become efficient. The forward and futures market will only become efficient when the spot market is liquid, is strengthened, it is transparent, and it is honest.
Are you seeing that right now, or is there something are you looking forward to see?
I think we are seeing that. We are moving in that direction. I'm not saying it's not. There's no magic wand. And so basically, what Nigerians want to know: am I going to be better off in August than I was in July?
Exactly.
And am I going to be better off in December than I was in June? The truth is that in August you're not going to be better off, right? What is going to happen to the currency? My forecast is that the interbank market will depreciate some more towards 310, worst case scenario. It's now 295. The parallel market is at 370, will appreciate to 340, and the forward markets will hang around 325. Having said that, you are going to have GDP growth in the third quarter negative, but in the fourth quarter it will be positive. But the whole year, like the IMF said, it will be 1.8. The salary arrears, all of this money that has been taken away from subsidy removal in terms of petrol and exchange rate subsidy removal, is going to go to the states and the federal government. They will use that to pay salary arrears. So state financial position will improve. Salaries will be paid, and things begin to start. The Nigerian federal government is going on a roadshow. They have to raise money internationally to support, one, the currency, and to support the capital expenditure program. So the economy is going to recover, but it's not going to recover this year. The recovery is going to be in the first quarter of 2017.
Looking forward to the MPC meeting. I think it's sometime next week.
Monday, Tuesday, yes.
Right. What are you hoping to hear coming out of them from that meeting?
Well, the thing is that there's a dilemma. Are you going to fight inflation, or are you going to support the growth strategy of the fiscal authorities? Because inflation is at 16.5, there's a temptation to knee-jerk react and increase interest rates. If you increase interest rates, you're actually going to strangulate the economy. You can't do that, right? And I hope they will not do that. And I'm optimistic that they will not do that. What is going to happen is that they will maintain the status quo, because the exchange rate depreciation itself is enough to mop up enough liquidity out of the system. So they will I think, in my own judgment, they will maintain the status quo so that they don't rock the boat. Right. It's too early to change things at this point.
CEO of Financial Derivatives, Mr. Rawani, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
News at 10 tonight. In part 2, after the break, residents of waterfront communities in River State protest against government's plans to evict them. That's in a moment. Please join us again.